today.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yes.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
My
The
back
show is called First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That's the Hall of Famer, Chris Carter. That's Nick Wright. Jokes. Lots of jokes this morning on the show.
Absolutely.
Lots of jokes.
I only heard facts.
Nick said if he's going to carry you on the show, you got to take your shoes off.
What is going... First of
Back
all...
still hurts, man.
You couldn't carry all the papers on this desk, much less me, around the office a little bit. So I appreciate the notion that I was needing to
Hell of
carry.
a way to start the morning. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah! Boom! That bad.
I guess I got to hold that L this morning.
It was
6:31 a.m.
It was a late night for Nick and for CC and for myself. A lot of late night basketball
Man,
last
these
night.
10:30 starts
I know, it's not fair.
Come on, NBA. 10:30 East Coast starts are rude to America.
Yeah, well, my basketball game starts at 9 tonight, so then I'll have that on the app.
Okay.
Got your son in the lineup tonight.
Oh, okay, good deal.
So we got basketball.
We got a lot going on.
We do have a lot going on. We'll get to CC's basketball game shortly after our show ends, but let's start with a late night
Shortly after our show ends.
NBA basketball. Early morning of analysis is what I like to call it. We start with Game 4 between the Jazz and the Thunder. Another game without cohesion between the big three. Another game where Russell Westbrook struggled to hit shots. And another loss. Jazz go on to win this 113-96 thanks to 33 points out of the rookie Donovan Mitchell for Utah. So the Jazz now up 3-1 in this series. CC, I'll start with you. How has this Utah team been able to dominate the Thunder? Is it more what they're doing? Is it more what the Thunder are not doing?
Well, at the beginning and end of the day, the Utah Jazz are a better basketball team, Jenna. Now, they might not have the individual stars. They definitely wouldn't have the accolades of the players on OKC. But it is a team sport. And what Utah is doing is team-oriented. Now, we can talk about Donovan Mitchell. We can talk about Rudy Gobert as the center. We can talk about the coach. But collectively, how they do things. What I saw in the game last night was typically almost every shot Utah shot the ball, they took at least 3 passes. If it wasn't in transition, they took at least 3 passes before. So they got better shots. So they're used to doing this on a regular basis. We don't give Utah a lot of attention. We've talked about OKC on this from the beginning of the season, before the season, actually with Melo, Hoodie Melo. And I think that because we saw Hoodie Melo, we thought that him and Paul George joining up with Russell, like, there's no chance that Utah can upset them in the first round. I wouldn't consider this an upset. If you look at the teams who's played the best basketball over the course of 6 months, it would be the Utah Jazz. So for those people who are surprised, it is a team sport, and Utah is a better team.
And I said when the bracket came out, Jazz in 6, and it looks like I understated them. Because they're looking like Jazz in 5. How is it happening? CC, your point about the lack of passing for Oklahoma City compared to the passing for Utah, Oklahoma City went from 10 minutes left in the second quarter to 20 seconds left in the third quarter with 0 assists. You played 2 quarters of basketball, playoffs, the biggest game of your season, and you have 0 assists. You have what we're seeing right now is, yes, Utah's better. Listen, Utah, since Rudy Gobert came back, I keep bringing it up, they're 30-8, the second best record in basketball, the #1 defense in basketball, the #1 net rating in basketball over that stretch. So that's going on. While Donovan Mitchell is exploding onto the scene, you did a good job of making sure early in the year we keyed on this rookie out of Louisville in Utah. Now everyone's taking notice of him.
Right, and it's not that I thought that he should be rookie of the year. I just think that sometimes that we start talking about certain people and certain subjects or certain awards, and we just eliminate the rest of the field. And especially when you have someone like Donovan Mitchell, but this was a throwaway season for Utah. All right, they traded Gordon Hayward. They weren't going to be they weren't going to be a playoff team. They're rebuilding.
Right.
Oh no, they draft a kid out of Louisville, and there's no need to rebuild because he's an instant success, and it warranted getting more attention.
And all he's done in these playoffs is join Wilt, MJ, and George Mikan, along with Lou Alcindor, now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as the only rookies to ever average more than 27 points a game in at least 4 games of a playoff series. So that's the Utah side of it. The OKC side of it is their stars have not been stars. Russ has been a no-show in the fourth quarters. And in last night, which you can argue is the single biggest basketball game Russ has played, certainly in the last 2 years, and one of the take out the NBA Finals, one of the 3 biggest basketball games he's ever played in. He made it personal with Ricky Rubio, and in his attempt to win the battle, he and his team got massacred in the war. And the ripple effects of losing last night, and I believe losing this series, will be felt for this Thunder team for some time.
The one thing we talked about going into this series, and you made a really good point of it, was that when the Thunder, it's not consistency with what you're getting with this team. They're either great when they're all hitting on all cylinders, or they're not. But that greatness and the randomness of the greatness should have been enough to beat a Utah team, which was never going to cap out at the top, but which is going to be steady, good across the way. And what we've seen is the Thunder have never gotten there. They never peaked, right? With the 3 guys they put in there together, they never really hit their potential, and you saw maybe a few glimpses of that during the regular season. We haven't seen that in the
And you
postseason.
don't have to look further than their point guard. In my playing basketball, at a very, very young age, as a point guard, the coach always taught me this because I was a fiery guy. I used to get upset. I was a bad loser. And he used to tell me, you can't play basketball like you play football. And if you're going to be the point guard, if I'm going to give you the ball, you have to control your temper and you have to control the temperament of the team. You are an extension of me on the court. And that's what, with Russell Westbrook, you can see that. He lost control. His team lost control. So until Russell decides that he's going to control the tempo in an NBA game and he's going to control the temperament to his team, I don't see Russell Westbrook ever winning an NBA championship because of the lack of control or temperament for his team.
And Russ, listen, Russ had 3 assists yesterday. That's the fewest assists he's had in a year and a half. It's the biggest game. I have been a Russell Westbrook defender. This is my 2nd favorite player to watch in the league and one of my 5 favorite players just viscerally to watch ever. I have opined on big picture things, saying if you have kids, Russell is the player you should have them emulate as far as going hard all the time. I love Russ, but I have to be honest, and he has to be honest, that at some point, wanting to win and trying your best, while important, is not necessarily as important as, to use an old cliche, are you going to work smart or are you going to work hard? Everybody knows Russ works hard. Man, he has a hard time working smart.
Look at the temperament LeBron James took in Lance Stevenson and all the things that Lance did to him. Look at LeBron continually control his attitude, which in turn his team never got off point what they should be doing because he stays in control of that. He doesn't let all these outside influences. Russell makes it a point that, I'm going to shut that thing down for Ricky Rubio. Well, listen, Ricky Rubio is only a part of your problem, man. Why didn't he say anything about Donovan Mitchell? Why didn't he say, hey, man, we need to shut this other guy down?
Because he was referring to himself and what he could do and not what was affecting the team the most. And in so doing, he found himself with 4 fouls, unable to help the team, and then unable to do anything.
And not only himself in trouble, but it got the team in trouble.
And in one of the most shocking stats, I know it's a small sample size, but playoff series are small sample size. It's 4 games. So it's over half the series, and it might be 80% of the series if Utah wins the next game. The Oklahoma City Thunder in this series, with Russell Westbrook on the court, are being outscored by 13 points per 100 possessions. With Russell Westbrook off the court, they are outscoring Utah by 13 points per 100 possessions. They are 26 points better in this series with Russ on the bench than Russ playing. If you told me that going into it, I'd have said, well, I guess it's a sweep, and I guess Russ was playing hurt. Now, I know he had extra tape on his shoulders. He says he doesn't have an injury, but whether he's dealing with a nagging injury or not, it does not justify nor does it explain his level, the lack of assists, his erratic play, and what Jenna alluded to. You can't get 4 fouls in the first half because you're in a measuring contest with Ricky Rubio.
A one-on-one with Ricky Rubio. That's not how you play playoff basketball.
Ricky Rubio won that battle, and ultimately, you talked about winning the battle, losing the war. Paul George is going to leave OKC, and Russell can look nowhere. He can blame no one else. Don't blame the city. Don't blame the fans. Don't blame the organization. Blame yourself, because this is going to be a trend. KD said a lot of things, but there was some truth in saying about playing with Russell Westbrook, it wasn't as much fun. Paul George has experienced that. Melo has experienced that. Like, so now what does it do to the organization and other potential free agents? You know, are you marginalized because you can't win a championship by going to OKC?
And we're going to get into that part of this extensively. I want to say one other thing about Donovan Mitchell. The most points by a rookie in a playoff game with 0 turnovers in NBA history. That's what he did yesterday. And I mean, he was, for in a series.
I mean, mention again the names he passed. Not only he broke Karl Malone's rookie scoring record
For the Jazz.
Yes.
But he joins, how about this? Rookies through 4 playoff games have at least 110 points. Here's the list. Donovan Mitchell, Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So you have Donovan Mitchell and 2 of the top 3 ever. That's how he's announced himself to the NBA when his team needs him as a scoring option. That was as big of an environment as you can be in. He stepped up. He's been the best player in a series with multiple Hall of Famers.
Tremendous interview after the game. He got overwhelmed by the crowd.
It was great.
You know, I mean, the crowd and the noise. He couldn't even answer the question. Just watching him and everything, and just how pure it was. And says, "Wow, look at this young superstar really embracing the stage compared to these other 3 superstars not being able to get their game on."
Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz can close it out Wednesday night in Game 5. We'll take a break from basketball. Coming up next, how old will Tom Brady be when he retires? Will it be 42 or 142? We'll discuss both options next on First Things First.
I hear there's a report that he might be.
There might be 2 reports.
This one's got a name.
I wasn't trying to.